an effort that he could move, and so covered with wounds that the blood streamed from him. So he told the King's daughter to take the horn of ointment that was hanging at the Troll's belt, and anoint him with it. She did this, and then he came to himself again, but they had to stay there and rest for a week before the Bull was able to go any further. At last they set forth on their way again, but the Bull was still weak, and at first he could not go quickly. The King's daughter wished to spare him, and said that she was so young and light of foot that she would willingly walk, but he would not give her leave to do that, and she was forced to seat herself on his back again. So they travelled for a long time, and through many lands, and the King's daughter did not at all know where he was taking her, but after a long, long time they came to a gold wood. It was so golden that the gold dripped off it, and the trees and the branches and the flowers and the leaves were all of pure gold. Here all happened just as happened in the copper wood and silver wood. The Bull told the King's daughter that on no account was she to touch it, for there was a Troll with 9 heads who was the owner, and that he was much larger and stronger than both the others put together, and that he did not believe that he could overcome him. So she said that she would take great care not to touch anything, and he should see that she did. But when they got into the wood it was still thicker than the silver wood, and the farther they got into it the worse it grew. The wood became thicker and thicker, and closer, and at last she thought there was no way whatsoever by which they could get forward. She was so terrified lest she should break anything off, that she sat and twisted and turned herself on this side and on that, to get out of the way of the branches, and push them away from her with her hands. But every moment they struck against her eyes, so that she could not see what she was clutching at, and before she knew what she was doing she had a golden apple in her hands. She was now in such terror that she began to cry, and wanted to throw it away, but the Bull said that she was to keep it, and take the greatest care of it, and comforted her as well as he could, but he believed that it would be a hard struggle, and he doubted whether it would go well with him. Just then the Troll with 9 heads came, and he was so frightful that the King's daughter scarcely dared look at him. "Who is this who is breaking into my wood?" he screamed. "It is just as much mine as yours," said the Bull. "We shall have a tussle for that," screamed the Troll. "That may be," said the Bull. So they rushed at each other and fought, and it was such a dreadful sight that the King's daughter was very nearly swooned. The Bull gored the Troll's eyes out and ran his horns right through him, but the Troll fought as well as he did, and when the Bull had gored one head to death the other heads breathed life into it again, so it was a whole week before the Bull was able to kill him. But then he himself was so worn out and weak that he could not move at all. His body was all one wound, and he could not even so much as tell the King's daughter to take the horn of ointment out of the Troll's belt and rub him with it. She did this without being told, so he came to himself again, but he had to lie there for 3 weeks and rest before he was in a state to move. Then they journeyed onwards by degrees, for the Bull said that they had still a little further to go, and in this way they crossed many high hills and thick woods. This lasted for a while, and then they came upon the fells. "Do you see anything?" asked the Bull. "No, I see nothing but the sky above and the wild fell side," said the King's daughter. Then they climbed up higher, and the fell grew more level, so that they could see further around them. "Do you see anything now?" said the Bull. "Yes, I see a small castle far, far away," said the Princess. "It is not so very little after all," said the Bull. After a long, long time they came to a high hill where there was a precipitous wall of rock. "Do you see nothing now?" said the Bull. "Yes, now I see the castle quite near, and now it is much, much larger," said the King's daughter. "Thither shall you go," said the Bull. Immediately below the castle there is a pigsty where you shall dwell. When you get there you will find a wooden gown which you are to put on, and then go to the castle and say that you are called Kari Woodengown, and that you are seeking a place. But now you must take out your little knife and cut off my head with it, and then you must flay me and roll up my hide and put it there under the rock beneath the hide, and you must lay the copper leaf and the silver leaf and the golden apple. Close beside the rock a stick is standing, and when you want me for anything you have only to knock at the wall of the rock with that." At first she would not do it, but when the Bull said that this was the only reward that he would have for what he had done for her, she could do no otherwise, so though she thought it very cruel, she slaved on and cut at the great animal with the knife till she had cut off his head and hide. Then she folded up the hide and laid it beneath the mountain wall, and put the copper leaf and the silver leaf and the golden apple inside it. When she had done that she went away to the pigsty, but all the way as she went she wept, and she was very sorrowful. Then she put on the wooden gown and walked to the king's palace. When she got there she went into the kitchen and begged for a place, saying that her name was Kari Woodengown. The cook told her that she might have a place and leave to stay there at once and wash up, for the girl who had done that before had just gone away, and as soon as you get tired of being here you will take yourself off too, said he. No, said she, that I certainly shall not. And then she washed up and did it very tidily. On Sunday some strangers were coming to the king's palace, so Kari begged to have leave to carry up the water for the prince's bath, but the others laughed at her and said, "What do you want there? Do you think the prince will ever look at such a fright as you?" She would not give it up, however, but went on begging until at last she got leave. When she was going upstairs her wooden gown made such a clatter that the prince came out and said, "What sort of creature may you be?" "I was to take this water to you," said Kari. "Do you suppose that I will have any water that you bring?" said the prince, and emptied it over her. She had to bear that, but then she asked permission to go to church. She got that, for the church was very near, but first she went to the rock and knocked at it with the stick which was standing there, as the Bull had told her to do. Instantly a man came forth and asked what she wanted. The king's daughter said that she had got leave to go to church and listen to the priest, but that she had no clothes to go in, so he brought her a gown that was as bright as the copper wood, and she got a horse and a saddle too from him. When she reached the church she was so pretty and so splendidly dressed that everyone wondered who she could be, and hardly anyone listened to what the priest was saying, for they were all looking far too much at her, and the prince himself liked her so well that he could not take his eyes off her for an instant. As she was walking out of the church the prince followed her and shut the church door after her, and thus he kept one of her gloves in his hand. Then she went away, mounted her horse again. The prince again followed her and asked her whence she came. "Oh, I am from Bathland," said Kari, and when the prince took out the glove and wanted to give it back to her, she said, "Darkness behind me, but light on my way, that the prince may not see where I am going today." The prince had never seen the equal of that glove, and he went far and wide asking after the country which the proud lady who rode away without her glove had said that she came from, but there was no one who could tell him where it lay. Next Sunday someone had to take up a towel to the prince. "Ah, may I have leave to go up with that?" said Kari. "What would be the use of that?" said the others who were in the kitchen. "You saw what happened last time." Kari would not give in, but went on begging for leave till she got it, and then she ran up the stairs so that her wooden gown clattered again. Out came the prince, and when he saw that it was Kari he snatched the towel from her and flung it right in her eyes. "Be off at once, you ugly Troll," said he. "Do you think that I will have a towel that has been touched by your dirty fingers?" After that the prince went to church, and Kari also asked leave to go. They all asked how